Shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Kal halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, which means all praises to the Most High in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai the Christ. Welcome to another TOC Sabbath Day class. I just want to welcome each and every one of you to today's class. For those of you in the Caribbean, well, in the northern part of the Caribbean, that is, you would be experiencing some, tropical, stormy weather. But that's all right. All things through the Spirit of the Most High. Yes, but we're still here. We're still here. We're off to a bit of a late start, but nonetheless, due to the weather, we are here. So I pray the Most High blesses you wherever you're looking from, wherever you're tuning in from. Happy Sabbath Day. I hope it's a productive one. I hope it's a introspective one. All right? All praises. So today's class is called Pride Kills. Again, Pride Kills. Now, last week we had a class called Secret Sin, or the Consequences of Secret Sin. But what a lot of persons, even though they did some introspection and some searching, and they did some, examination of themselves, a lot of people, I'm pretty willing to bet, didn't really search within themselves to see if this sin was prevalent, to see if this was something that is lurking on the inside of them. So we're going to cover that on today's class. How pride kills, okay? How it affects you, what it is, what it isn't, and what secret, or let's put it this way, hidden pride looks like. All right? So just a little preface before we get into it. Pride does not show up in the way you think it does. When people think about pride, they think about just straight out the gate, boastful, arrogant, pompous. Now, that's the most existential form of it. Boastful, arrogant, pridefulness. But did you know there's very subtle forms of pride that may even fly over your head? And did you know that it's so subtle that you yourself may have a lot of pride, that spirit of pride beaming out of you in such subtle ways, you have no idea that you're exhibiting that spirit of pride. Well, we're going to break it down for you, and we're going to show you. And we're going to show you all of the little ways that pride sneakily just sneaks in, so you can identify it chiefly in yourself, and you can identify it when you see it coming out in others within the congregation. Yes? Because we must stamp out the spirit of pride. So let's get straight into it. We're going to be going to the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 3. All right? So let's get that scripture loaded up for you guys. We're going to the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 3.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 3. In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise shall preserve them.
So this is what you got to understand. Coming in from the world, we all know that you're foolish. You don't know anything, right? You don't know the laws and the commandments as yet. You're learning. You're coming in the truth to learn what you didn't know in the world or when you were in Christianity. So when you come in from the world, you're foolish. But here's the thing. I want you to read it again from the top. It says, in the mouth of the foolish.
In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride.
Is the rod of pride. So coming in from the world, guess what? you're gonna have a spirit of pride. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So everyone coming in from the world, you will have a spirit of pride. So that's the first thing you got to understand about the truth. Okay? It's coming in from the world, you will have pride. But it says, in the mouth of the foolish, it's going to be the rod of pride. But finish out the verse, we're going to show you. Watch this.
But the lips of the wise shall preserve them.
The lips of the wise, those who are learned, those who are in the truth. Your elders in the truth, it's their job to do what? We're going to get you right. We're going to preserve you. We're going to make sure that pride doesn't just take you out of here. We're going to make sure that pride don't kill you. All right? It's our job to give you the scriptures, give you the counsel, give you the precepts that can help you change your life. All right? So in the lips of the wise, the learned men, they're going to get you right. If you would humble yourself down. If you understand that you're here to learn. If you don't, start extolling yourself like you come into the truth and, hey, I know it all, I know it all, I know it all. No, you don't. Sit down, let the lips of the wise preserve you, because coming out from the world, in the mouth of the foolish, is the rod of pride. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 7. Again, we're going to the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 7.
Reading from the Apocrypha, the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 7. Pride is hateful before God and man, and by both does one commit iniquity.
So, pride, this is what you got to understand. Yes, when you're coming from the world, you will have pride, but the first thing you got to understand about the spirit of pride is that God hates it. He cannot work with it. There's nothing he can do with you if you have a spirit of pride. He said it is hateful before God and man. Now, pride and hate, two things that God hates. Right? Pride and hate. He says, and by both, you will commit iniquity. You will commit sin. You will go off. Pride will make you go off. Don't think of pride as a very light thing. Pride is the thing, the gateway, one of the gateways, because hate is one of them as well. It says by both, one commits iniquity, one commits sin, one transgresses. But pride, let's focus on the pride, okay? Even though both of those spirits, they lurk together, pride and hate, they be lurking. Understand this, when it comes to pride, that's that gateway that's going to lead to a whole myriad of sin, lead to a whole, a whole smorgasbord, if you will, of sin. All right? Jump down to verse 12.
Reading from Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departs from God, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
So the beginning of pride, the starting point of pride, is when one departeth from God. So let's put it this way. Having that spirit of pride, right? It says, is the beginning of pride. Like when pride begins, when you see it start to fester, when you see it start to ruminate, when you see it start to, come together, you're seeing that spirit of pride, that's when one departs from God. Let's put it this way. I'm going to make a bold statement. You ready for it? You ready for it? If you have that spirit of pride on you, you're not in the truth. Read it again from the top for me.
Ecclesiasticus 10 verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departed from God and his heart is turned away from his maker.
I don't care how much fringes you wear, how much Sabbath day you attend, how much new moon feast you come and you eat, how many Passovers you attend. If you have a spirit of pride on you, the Most High is not with you. He cannot work with you because you have a spirit of pride. He doesn't work with persons who have pride. There's nothing he could do with you. There's nothing he can fix to get you to do what needs to be done, because the spirit of pride, let's put it this way, the spirit of pride is like a blindfold that blocks your spiritual intuition. It blocks your spiritual discernment. Everything it blocks. Okay? It blocks your judgment. You cannot see what the Most High is trying to show you through the scriptures. You won't be able to understand what's coming out of the scriptures. You won't be able to understand what wise, learned men are teaching you. You won't be able to get it. Why? Because pride is like a blindfold that blocks all of your spiritual senses. So think of it this way. You're spiritually dumb, deaf, and blind when you have a spirit of pride. Again, you are spiritually dumb, spiritually blind, spiritually deaf when you have a spirit of pride that is on you. So that's the first thing you got to understand as well. You have a spirit of pride on you, you're not in the truth. You might look like you're in the truth. You might sound like you're in the truth, but you're not really in the truth because the spirit of pride is blocking you. Jump down to verse 13. It says your heart is turned away from your maker. So you're not in the truth. Read on.
Verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that had it shall pour out abomination.
Once you have a spirit of pride, abomination must follow. Everything that follows from your actions, from your words, the things you say, the things you do, because you have a spirit of pride, it won't be able to hide. It will come out. It says, whoever has that spirit of pride, they're going to pour out. And pour, when you hear that word pour, does pour suggest like a trickling? Does pour suggest a sprinkling? Pour suggests a very what? Robust outpouring of. It pours out. That's what happens when the spirit of pride is on someone. Abominations follow. All right? Sin follows. Read on.
And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly.
Overthrew them utterly. So you will get overthrown because of the spirit of pride. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before that pride takes you out of here. And let me just say this. Let me say this. When it comes to the spirit of pride, if you're learning about the truth and it's on you and you have it, you're going to be out the truth. You're not going to last in the truth. You're not going to endure in the truth. It's just a matter of when. Again, it's just a matter of when. You will not be able to endure because the spirit of pride will prevent you from enduring. All right? Now, what verse was that? That was verse 13. Jump down to verse 15. Oh, finish it out for me.
And therefore the Lord brought upon them
strange calamities, right? Yeah, we read that, right. Strange calamities. So you can always examine your own life, and if there's a lot of strange calamities happening in your life, you need to dig deeper and realize that you may have a spirit of pride. If you have strange calamities that you realize, wait, this seems too unique, right? Even though, I mean, nothing, the scripture says we all go through the same things, yes. But if what's happening in your life, based on your situation, it could very well be because you have a spirit of pride, because of the strange calamities. Those who understand the truth, we know that, all judgments, happen under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. Those who understand the truth. But you just coming into the truth 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you may be trying to figure out why are these strange calamities happening to me? Is because, could it be perhaps you never dig deep enough inside of the realms, inside of the bowels of your spirit, to examine deep enough to realize that there is a spirit of pride, but maybe you didn't know what a spirit of pride looks like. Maybe you didn't know what it shows up as, because maybe you've been fooling yourself all this time thinking that I'm not boastful, I'm not arrogant, I'm not a flashy person, so therefore I don't have a spirit of pride. But alas, let me show you something. The spirit of pride is very elusive. It doesn't always show up as this, overt, chauvinistic, braggadocious, pompous arrogance. That's just the extreme form of it. But in most cases, the spirit of pride is so elusive. It rolls so undetected that even some of you who in the truth for some years, it may fly over your heads like this. You understand? But you can always examine further when you realize there's strange calamities happening to you. All right? Let's jump down. Now, before we jump down, it says, and overthrew them utterly. So understand that is the end result of anyone who does not stamp out the spirit of pride. You're going to be overthrown utterly. You're going to be destroyed by the Most High utterly. Come down to verse 15.
Verse 15. The Lord had plucked up the roots of the proud nations and planted the lowly in their place.
See, so even when it comes to the other nations, it says he plucked up the roots of the proud nations. Because those other nations had a lot of pride when they took us into what? Captivity. And how they extolled themselves over us. But the Most High says they're going to have a recompense. So don't worry about the pride of the other nations. They're going to get a recompense for their pride. Verse 16.
Verse 16. The Lord overthrew the countries of the heathen and destroyed them to the foundation of the earth.
Because that's the end result of pride. All right? He's going to destroy pride in the end. And especially when it comes to the other nations. But you don't want to find yourself lumped in and boxed in with the other nations. You don't want the end of the other nations to be your end, to be your fate, because that's what's coming for them. But by default, the Most High won't be able to, excuse you out of that judgment, because that's the end result of pride. Verse 17.
Verse 17. He took some of them away and destroyed them, and had made their memorial to cease from the earth.
And made their memorial to cease from the earth. You won't be nothing but a distant memory. Not even a memory. That's what's coming for the other nations. That's what happened to a lot of the... Guess what? Going back to pre-flood, there's some nations that, they're not made mention of. I always get that question, What was some of the nations pre-flood? They weren't made mention of. Why? Because the Most High made their memorial to cease from the earth. Do you remember why the Most High flooded the earth? Who can remember why? Because in the earth was exceeding what? Exceeding sinful. So the Most High flooded it. But those nations that were around pre-existing before the flood, is there any mention made of them? No. You don't know what some of those nations are, because the Most High has made their memorial to cease from the earth. And could you imagine when Noah was building that ark, how some of those other prideful nations probably told him, man, you crazy. It never rained in these parts before. You are out of your mind. Why are you building an ark? Just, pride coming out from the other nations. Look what happened. After the flood, say no more. Come down to verse 18.
Verse 18. Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of women.
So pride, it was not made for men. It was made for another purpose. All right? And that purpose has to do with judgment. Now the men of the Lord, pride is not made for you. The men of the Lord, you're not supposed to have any spirit of pride on you. It's not made for men. It might be made for beasts and brutish people and brutish nations. Right? But it's not made for you, Israel. So if you have a spirit of pride, now we're going to get into, how some of these, because I got my files here. I always walk with my files. How some of these spirits roll undetected. All right? Let's jump down to verse 21.
Verse 21. The fear of the Lord goeth before the obtaining of authority, but roughness and pride is a losing thereof.
It says the fear of the Lord, it goeth before obtaining authority. All right? But, it says, but roughness and pride is the losing thereof. So, the Most High does not delegate authority, rulership, and stewardship to anyone that has a spirit of pride on them. It don't go together. He cannot. So that means this shows you cannot even inherit the kingdom. Because in the kingdom we're going to be what? Ruling and reigning with Christ. There's no authority given or rulership given or stewardship given to persons who have a spirit of pride on them. It don't go together. All right? So this is what you got to understand. Get it in your spirit now, get it in your mind now, that we must stamp out the spirit of pride in TOC. And the reason why I say that is because the position that I hold, I can see that many of our congregants have spirit of pride on them, although they may like to think they don't. Although they may like to see and view themselves as being very humble and now again, pride shows up in ways that you're not able to detect. All right? Let's get the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 13. The book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 13.
Reading from the book of Tobit in the Apocrypha, chapter 4 on verse 13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not thy heart, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people.
Of what?
Of thy people.
Of thy people.
In not taking a wife of them, for in pride is destruction and much trouble, and lewdness is decay and great want.
Now,
but lewdness is the mother of famine.
I'm going to show you. Read from where it says, in not taking a wife.
In not taking a wife of them, for in pride is destruction and trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want. For lewdness is the mother of famine.
Lewdness is the mother of famine. Now, I'm going to show you something. The reason why this is being broken down in the book of Tobit like this. Now, this may come as a shocker to some persons. There's persons who don't like, how should I put it? They don't like themselves. So therefore, they don't like the people of their own nation. That's the best way I could put it, right? They don't like themselves, they hate themselves. And they hate the people of their own nation. So what does that look like? Many of our men prefer women of other nations They want to marry the women of other nations. And that is a very evasive, very undetected source of pride. Their pride cannot allow them to be with one of their own nation. They see the other nations as being better than them. They see the other nations as being more superior than them. They see themselves as not being on the level of their own people. They see themselves as above their own people. So it's like, I can't even marry an Israelite woman because, listen, our people, they're good for nothing. Our people, they're just so ghetto. I don't like them. I don't like all the reasons that you would hear people saying why Hispanics and Negroes and indigenous people are the lowest people on the face of the earth is the same reasons why people of our own nation would use as justification to marry the other nations. That is a spirit of pride as well, when you hate yourself so much, you hate your people so much that you cannot see yourself being with the same kind of your own nation. So I'm not talking about persons who might have gotten with someone, married someone, and they found out later that they were someone of another nation. I'm talking about persons who willingly, you know this person is not an Israelite, and you say, you know what? I prefer the Caucasian women. I prefer, like the scripture says, do not prefer the other nations over your own. That is a spirit of pride. Because you hate yourself so much. You hate your people so much. And you think every other nation is better. You think they're better. So you spit on your own people while bigging up all the other nations. That is a spirit of pride. And the Most High said, in that, destruction is going to come for you. And that is why in the book of Deuteronomy, all right, chapter 7, it mentions, for you Negro and Hispanic and indigenous men who are the Israelites, if you take women of other nations, the Most High said his anger will be against you to cause your destruction. How many men you've seen marry nations of other women or gotten with women of other nations, of our people, right? And they meet their death. They met their death. The Lord caused that to happen. You understand that? The Lord made that happen because it's in His Word. He says destruction is there waiting for you when you refuse those of your own nation, and now you're extolling the other nations over your own people. All right? So let's go to Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 18. So that is a very subtle form of pride. A lot of people overlook loving the other nations more than you love your own. That should be punishable by death in my books. But I didn't write these laws. In my books, that should be something punishable by death if you love the other nations more than your own people. Proverbs 16 and verse 18.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall.
So again, pride is a blindfold. It covers your eyes so you cannot even see the destruction around the corner. You cannot see the fall that's about to happen for you. You're about to fall. You're about to go into destruction, but your pride is preventing you from seeing it. You understand? And it always happens that way. Before great destruction, before a great fall, your pride puffs up. Your pride gets to the sky. But again, a lot of people think it's like being very boastful and arrogant, so they don't think of themselves as being prideful. But we're going to show you something. Proverbs 18 and verse 12.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 12. Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, And before honor is humility.
So before destruction comes, your heart gets puffed up. Now, let's put it this way. I mentioned it doesn't always show up as arrogance or as boastfulness, right? A lot of times it shows up as you just thinking that you're so right with everything you do and with everything you say and with all the things that you know. You think you're right and everyone else, they're wrong. That is a spirit of pride. But it says here, before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty. In other words, let me just break it down for you. You're getting counsel on a matter that you're going through in your life. You don't want to take the counsel because you think your methodology, your modus operandi is right. It's correct. It's right and true. So because of that, the counsel that you're getting that comes from wisdom and the scriptures, you don't want to hear it. So then you start doubling down. That's what it means, haughty. You start to double down. You double down on your opinion, your thoughts, the way you think, the way you operate. You start to double down on it. You start to put 2 feet down and say, I'm going to double down. That is a spirit of pride. You understand? It doesn't always show up as arrogance. Sometimes it's that little voice speaking to you in your head saying, do not listen to this counsel. Do your own thing. Don't listen to what this counselor is telling you. They're nothing like the men of old. They're just blood and bones. That's what happens. So you start telling yourself that voice, they're not Christ. They can't tell you any counsel that you don't know yourself. You start to listen to that voice. They're just a human just like you. You know the scriptures too. You don't have to listen to them. That spirit of pride doesn't always show up as arrogance and boastful. It's just that little voice talking to you in your head saying, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong. And then now when accountability is asked of you, right? You start to double down in your mind and say, don't listen, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong. You're right, you're right, you're right, they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. But then around the corner, the same thing you were being counseled on happens. The destruction that you were trying to prevent, it happens. Unfortunately, that's the only way some people learn. Through when the Lord brings destruction, because you had a haughty spirit. Inside of your mind, you told yourself, you're right and everyone else is wrong. Look at that. It says, before destruction, the heart of man is haughty. You start to double down. And I've seen that right here in TOC, and I'm pretty sure in many other congregations, many leaderships can attest to the same thing. It's just something very common in Israel. Israel is a very stiff-necked people. So they're going to double down in their wrongness. They're going to double down on their bad decisions. They're going to double. Now, mind you, you may have someone who has a track record, a history of making bad decisions. And they're still going to double down on doing things the way they've always done it. They're still going to. That is a spirit of pride. Not wanting to yield. That's a spirit of pride. Not wanting to yield to what you're being counseled on to do. So Israel, we got to stamp that thing out. We got to stamp out the spirit of pride from in TOC. We got to be that congregation that's known for not having prideful men and women. We got to change the culture within TOC. Let's get the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 1. The book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Reading from the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus said the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
So this prophecy that Obadiah gave out is concerning Edom, or the modern day Caucasian man. Now, pay close attention to this prophecy that goes out against Edom. Read on.
Verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
Now, the Most High says, among all the heathen, he's going to bring them lower, lower, lower. They're going to be the least of them all. Why? Let's read on and find out.
Verse 3. The pride of thine hand hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
So that prideful spirit was really made for Esau. I want you to understand that. It wasn't made, when he says pride wasn't made for men, he's talking about you men of the Lord. It wasn't made for y'all. This is who it's made for. So that the Most High can be vindicated and justified in bringing him down. Pride is a trait of Esau. Again, that's their trait. A lot of our people, we've learned that pride from them. We've gleaned pride from them. It's not supposed to be on our Israelite men and women, but by default, because they're ruling at the moment, that's all we see. We see them in the rulership seat. We mimic their ways. We mimic their haughtiness. And by default, what happens? You too now have a spirit of pride that came from Esau. It's now on you. But it's really for him, so that the Most High can bring him down to the ground. But subsequently, if you don't stamp out and root out the spirit of pride within you, Israel, you're going to be also brought down to the ground, just like the fate of Esau. Do you want that to be your fate? Read the last part where Esau says, who shall bring me down?
Who shall bring me down to the ground?
That's the level of pride that Esau has. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Read on, verse 4.
Verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou hast set thy nest among the stars, hence will I bring thee down, said the Lord.
The Most High said, I will bring you down because of your pride. So the Most High is showing you right here that this level of pride that Esau has is far beyond the level that any other nation has. That is his judgment. The Lord will bring him down to the ground. And subsequently, that's what's going to happen to many of you who don't stamp out and root out that spirit of pride. The Lord is going to bring you down to the ground as well. You don't want that to be your fate, because when you read down to verses like 7 and 8 and verse 18 of the same Obadiah that we're reading, it shows you that God will destroy all of them. It says, not one shall be remaining of the house of Esau. So tell yourself, the spirit of pride is so destructive that the Most High has to stamp it out completely. Don't think of the spirit of pride of one of those low-level sins, one of those minuscule sins. If God said in verse 18 that not one of the house of Esau shall be remaining, and in verses 4 And verses 3 mentions how prideful they are. And he's going to bring them down to the ground. It shows you, Israel, do not think that the spirit of pride is something that is small, something to be ignored, something that you should just pass off by the way. You should not. You should not. You should not. Okay? Good. So the Most High says he's going to be the one that brings him down. All praises. Let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 10. Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 10.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 10. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom.
Now, with the well-advised is wisdom. The well-advised is not going to have the problems that those who have the spirit of pride has. The well-advised, they follow counsel. They follow what the scriptures say. They don't have the same problems that those who have the spirit of pride has. But it says, only by pride cometh contention. Like someone who has a spirit of pride, they're always going to be in contention with somebody. Whether it's their wife, whether it's their husband, whether it's a brother in the congregation, whether it's a sister in the congregation. Because contention, it's right there at the door where pride is. It's like a few millimeters away. And you can always tell when a brother or sister has underlying pride. Because what follows? Contention. How many of you knew that? How many of you actually knew that a brother that has a tumultuous relationship at home with his wife, you look deep enough inside there, you're going to see spirit of pride lurking in there. Either on both sides, or his side or her side, you're going to see spirit of pride. But the thing is, people tend to think pride is what? Oh, I'm boastful, I'm arrogant, I'm pompous. That's just the extreme form of it. There's pride that comes in very subtle ways, like a woman thinking she can manipulate her husband. That's spirit of pride right there. Did you know that? A husband thinking that he can also manipulate his wife because she don't know as much as him. That's a spirit of pride. How many of you knew that? People think pride is just, oh, bouncing boasty. I'm big bouncing boasty. That ain't, listen, when you look in the scriptures, the most persons who had spirit of pride wasn't big, bad, bouncy, and boasty. Boasty, no. Shift your thinking. Come up higher. And that's how the spirit of pride gets to lurk even more. Because when people like, you know, who coming from the world, who don't know how to identify pride, it gets to hide even more. It gets to hide in the shadows even more so that you can't detect it. So that your wife can't detect it. So that the brothers around you can't detect it. If pride goes undetected, it gets to lurk and ruminate even more. Follow me, Israel. That's why it's so elusive. That's how it replicates itself. You know when a virus thinks it's going to die, what does it do? What does a virus do when it thinks it's going to die? It clones itself. But guess what? It does something very... I don't know how the Most High did this. And he said all these plagues in this book... all these plagues that are not in this book, he will bring them on Israel. Now, the Most High is the complete master scientist. When a virus detects that there's something trying to stamp it out, like the antibodies or the white blood cells that the Most High put in the body to fight it off, the virus clones itself in a way with a different DNA. So that the antibodies pass over it and say, oh, this virus, it doesn't even think of it as a virus. It says, oh, this thing here is good to go. Let's march on, boys. Let's go the other way. This is not a virus. Let's go this way. Undetected. That's the same way the spirit of pride rolls. Undetected. It doesn't show up as a spirit of pride. It shows up as something else. How many of you know, watch this, that the spirit of pride oftentimes clones itself as a spirit of humility? Woo! Y'all ain't ready for that one. The spirit of pride clones and replicates itself in a manner that one would think it's the spirit of humbleness, humility, and one that is very meek. But the spirit of pride, it knows how to clone itself. It knows how to replicate itself. It knows how it's been doing this ever since been. So you who just Johnny come lately thinking that you know what the spirit of pride looks like off the cuff, you don't. You ain't in the truth long enough, trust me, to know exactly out the gate what spirit of pride actually looks like. All right? Good. That was Proverbs 13 and verse 10. It says, only by pride cometh contention. And let me show you something before we move on. A lot of times when you see contention happening, either husband and wife, wife and husband, brother and brother, sister and sister, on the surface, if you're a counselor, you ask, what's the problem here? What's going on here? Well, this person said this about me, and then I responded this way, and then they just blow up into this big thing. Whatever the issue is. I'm going to show you something. For those who are going to be moving up the ranks, it ain't really what they're saying it is, you know. That's just on the surface. When you peel back the layers, the contention is there because the spirit of pride has fooled everybody. And you too, if you're a counselor, if you don't know how to spot and identify this, it says, only by pride cometh contention. So if you're not able to identify this thing, it's going to just be elusive and just lurk in the shadows. You're going to be thinking because the wife said, oh, you know, this he treat me this way and that's why I blew up on him. Or he said, well, I acted this way towards her because of the... If you peel back all of the layers, you will see a spirit of pride is either on both or one of the parties. That's why the contention happened. And that's why the contention continues to happen. Spirit of pride. Israel, there is no fruitful relationship whether husband and wife, brother and brother, sister and sister, that can produce fruit, good fruit, if there's any spirit of pride that dwelleth among you. Israel, you got to stamp that out now. Or as I say, now. You got to stamp it out now. All right? Proverbs 13, verse 11. Let's read verse 11.
Proverbs 13, verse 11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall diminish, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase.
Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Now, I'll break this down two ways for you. Now, wealth gotten by vanity, you secured something, right, for the wrong reasons. You secured something because you want to floss. You didn't get it because you need it. You got it because of vanity reasons. It says because of that, it's gonna diminish. It's gonna fade away. You understand that? Now, here's the other way that I'm gonna break it down for you. People coming from the world with that spirit into the truth, they only get things because it looks shiny, it looks nice, it looks glamorous. So imagine coming in from the world with that spirit. Oh, everybody talking about the new iPhone, whatever, and you work out, well, I want that because everybody's talking about it. Oh, everyone is saying, you know, this thing that everyone is buying it up, and you're like, well, everybody's buying. You're easily influenced. And because of that, you want to go and get what they're getting. You don't know why. You don't know the features of this thing. It has no use to you. But you heard everyone saying they're getting this thing, so you want it. And that's the only reason why you want it. You're very impressionable. You get things because it's a vanity reason. If that's you, and let me talk to those who overseas as well. If that is you, you're not going to last in this truth, because you're coming from the world with that mentality, and the glitz and glamour of everything fools you. It puts that spirit of pride over you. So now, you got a bunch of bandwagonists. You remember back in school, around summertime when, basketball finals would be on? People who don't even watch basketball talk about, yeah, Bulls, 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 because everybody talking about Bulls. You don't watch basketball. You don't know what a layup is. You don't know what a three-pointer is. You don't know nothing about the sport, but everybody talking about Bulls or the Celtics. So you're like, yeah, you never backed them before. But now, yeah, you team Celtics, you team this, you team that, because everybody. That's a spirit of pride as well. You're a bandwagonist. You got people like that coming into the truth talking about, yeah, man, over there got the numbers. That's why I want to be with that. Or, yeah, man, that look glitzy and glamoury. Oh, yeah, they got a bunch of teachers over there. So, like, I want to be over there. Right? Mind you, but it's the same people that, Colonel, when they was in the Christian church and they had one pastor, they had no problem with it. When they come into the truth, we want 50 teachers. Mind you, in the Christian church, they love off their one pastor. We love you. You are our saving grace. You come into the truth, I want 96 teachers. I want 100 teachers. Why? Why you want 100 teachers? Is it going to make you a better man? No, I just don't like the way you be coming off sometimes. I want 100. But what if you get 100 and you don't like the way they're coming off? Well, I would want 200 then. It's a spirit of pride, but many persons don't actually realize that that is a spirit of pride. So now, let me go back to the bandwagonists. I'm going to make this statement. A lot of people come into the truth not for the mission, but they come in for the recognition. Ooh. That's a quote right there. Y'all should take that clip. A lot of people come into this truth not for the mission, but they come in for the recognition. They want to be praised of men. Vanity. Vanity and pride go together. They come into this thing because they see it looks very glamorous. They like the limelight. But it says anybody that has a spirit, they're going to what? They're going to be diminished. What does that mean? You're not going to last very long in this truth. If that's the case with you, you're just a bandwagonist. Oh, I want to go over here because it looks more powerful. Or you didn't come in for the work. You didn't come in to build up the body of Christ. You came in to be a bandwagonist. You came in for the glitz, the glamour. That's what you came in for. And because of that, read it from the top for me again. Read it from the top.
Well gotten by vanity shall diminish. Sorry. He that is proud of heart, stoweth of heart, strife. But he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be made fat.
Read verse 11 again.
Verse 11. Well gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase.
Now watch this. Wealth gotten by vanity. You wanted to just come into a school because it was already built up. Now, shout out to Soldier Zakar. The first time I ever met that brother said he had that vision that he's supposed to help build. A lot of you don't want to help build nothing. You want to come in when it's already glamorous. You want to be there when it's already built up. You want to go over there because, hey, over there already done built up. But guess what? Because of that, you just want to ride the coattails of something that's already built up. Well, if that's your modus operandi, then guess what? You didn't come in to build. You came in to do what? Ride the coattails, be a bandwagonist and say, yeah, we big and we strong and we... But guess what? You didn't help build that up. Those who help build it up, double honors to them. Those that really putting in the work to do the building up, double honors to them. If you're a part of an organization and you just came in just because you look glitzy and glamoury, you didn't help to build that thing up, then you're going to diminish. In other words, you're going to not last in this truth. You understand? But look what it says at the end. It says, but he that gathereth by labor, by work, by putting in a brick by brick by brick. You building this thing up. You know the value of hard work. You can look around and see it's built up because we put in the work. But because you got a spirit of pride on you, you only want to go where something is already built up. So you don't really have to do no heavy lifting. Those bandwagonists, they're going to get diminished by the Most High. Because you didn't come into the truth to fear the Lord and to actually do the work. You came in just to ride the coattails. All those who, riding coattails, you're going to be diminished. So the Most High said, you didn't gather by putting in the work by the labor. Now, but those of us who really here putting in the work, who not doing it because of the spirit of pride, it says, shall increase. Shall increase. If you're building, and you're doing it with a genuine spirit, you're building, you're doing it with the right intent, you're in this truth genuinely, you're going to increase. You may have to stamp out some of the ones who got a spirit of pride on them. Now, I'm going to say this. You won't be able to grow. I'm talking to you guys overseas. Your congregation will not be able to grow if you have persons in there that have a spirit of pride on them. And if the ratio of those who have spirit of pride on them is greater, like you have let's say your congregation has in 20 persons, right? And 12 of them have a strong spirit of pride on, it's not going to grow. It prevents it from growing. You're going to have to pull the trigger, soldiers the car, and you correct them, yes, work with them, yes, but you see it's not working, you might have to, get some letters out. Say, hey, brother, this ain't working out. Otherwise, they prevent the growth. All right? And we see that last week from secret sin. The congregation cannot prosper now this is one of the secret sins that a lot of people overlooked. Spirit of pride. They don't know it's on them. They don't know it's operating on them because it's so elusive. It clones itself, replicates itself into something else that goes undetected. All right, Proverbs 28 and verse 25.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 25. He that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife, but he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be made fat.
So he that got a proud heart, right? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to always see strife. You're going to always see contention, like we just mentioned earlier. But he that putteth his trust in the Lord, he's going to be made fat. Read on, verse 26.
Verse 26.
Watch this.
He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool.
There are what?
Is a fool.
Now watch this.
But whosoever walketh wisely shall be delivered.
Why do you think verse 25 mentions he that is of a proud heart? He that is of a proud heart. But verse 26 says, he that trusted in his own heart. Let's put it this way. You got some know-it-alls. Some know-it-alls who think that they know it all. Right? And of course, I got to walk with my files, of course. I got to walk with my files. All right? Now, when it comes to the silent know-it-all, this is what this verse here is talking about. Right? The silent know-it-all, and again, I got my files right here. On the surface, they're not loud or arrogant, but inwardly, they're very what? Dismissive. When either leadership speaks, someone who's more learned than them speaks, they always believe, I already know this. I already know what that is. Or what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? If it was me, I would have did it better. Woo! If that was me, I would have did it like this. That is a spirit of pride. Because read verse 26 again. It says what?
Verse 26. Proverbs 28 verse 26. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. But whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered.
How do you get to walk wisely? By taking counsel from those who are wiser than you. Those who are more learned than you. Those who in the truth longer than you. Stop thinking you know more than them, because you don't. If you did, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in right now. You would have the wisdom to actually not be in the situation. Right? Now, again, the root issue is that pride closes off the mind to learning, because it assumes that it already knows everything, or they might say, well, I don't know everything, but I'm full of knowledge. I'm full of knowledge. Listen, stop trusting in your own mind that you know all that you're supposed to know regarding your situation, because you don't. That spirit of pride is deceiving you. It's fooling you, especially when you're getting counsel, right? Inside your mind, you're telling yourself, yeah, just listen, because he wrong. I'm right. He's wrong. That inwardly voice is the spirit of pride, but you didn't realize it. And then even in your speech when it comes out, imagine you trying to correct your teacher. You know how many times I've if I had $1 for every time brothers come into the truth. Now the student is now at the level that they're correcting their teacher. Let me correct you. That is a spirit of pride. And guess what? The Lord will not suffer you to prosper if you have a spirit of pride on you. He cannot work with anyone that has a spirit of pride. You won't even prosper just a little bit. It's only destruction waits for those who have a spirit of pride. Like the moment you think you're making a little stride here, the most I'm going to be like, okay, cool, watch this. So we're gonna he set up the pins, I'm going to knock them right back down, because you got a spirit of pride. Every time you try to make progress in a certain area, right? You try to do this or you try to do that, it starts out all right. It looks like you're making progress. It looks like you're getting through. But then you're like, wait, Mosai, how come you ain't telling me about that there around the corner? I didn't know that was around there stopping me. Well, Lord, you got to be preventing me from doing something, because every time I put my hand to do something, it just stops mid-course. Yes, the Lord is stopping you because you have a spirit of pride that He's trying to yank out of you, but you just want to hold on to it so much and make love to your spirit of pride because you like the way you are. You love having that thing about yourself whereby you have these inwardly thoughts. When you're being corrected about things, you tell yourself, no, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong. And you double down. We read earlier, the spirit of haughtiness, that's doubling down. Doubling down and saying, I don't care what he says. I don't care what he says. He's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong. Here's the thing. If they're wrong and you're right, it would reflect in your fruit. If you have no fruit to show, guess who's actually wrong? You are. But that spirit of pride will not allow you to see that. All right? So, he that trusted his own heart is a fool. Proverbs 6 and verse 16. Again, Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 16.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 16. These 6 things that the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him.
Read on.
Verse 17. A proud look.
Proud look.
A lying tongue.
A lying tongue.
And hands that shed innocent blood.
All right.
A heart that deceiveth wicked imagination.
Wow.
Feet that be swift in running to mischief.
Read on.
A false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among the brethren.
You know the funny thing about all those things that were listed out? The spirit of pride, right, is one of the first things that's listed, because everything else that follows starts with the spirit of pride. Again, Everything else that follows starts with pride. Now, read verse 17 again, just the first part.
Verse 17. Proverbs 6, verse 17.
Come on.
A proud look.
A what?
A proud look.
A proud look. Some persons think a proud look is just relegated to looking boastful or boasting or arrogant or pompous. Remember, we said the spirit of pride is very what? Elusive. It clones itself and replicates itself in ways that you cannot detect. So this proud look actually may be going over your head all this time, and you don't know what it actually looks like, that proud look. All right, a proud look. Now, of course, like I said, I got my files. I'm going to show you some ways of how a proud look doesn't actually come off as boastful or arrogant or proud. Now, watch this. Now, it says a proud, no, before we get into that, it says these things that the Lord what? Hates. Right now, the Lord hates a lot of you, and you don't even know it. Imagine God got hatred against you, and you have no idea. Well, you should be able to know. What's one of the ways you know if God hates you? Okay, but what kind of judgments? You said it earlier. Strange judgments. Like you're trying to figure out, wait. Who does this happen to? You. God, why this? How come I don't see like a lot of people going through this? Yeah, because God said he would bring strange judgments on the proud. But Lord, I'm not arrogant or boastful. You don't have to be arrogant or boastful to have the spirit of pride. Well, what do you mean by that, Lord? It says a proud look. Well, what's a proud look? We're going to break it down for you. So now, there are some persons, right, when it comes to that proud look, they give this unsuspecting facade. Like a person who just comes off as very highly dedicated in the ministry. They're always being very diligent. They're always being very, they always say they're studying, always say they're being diligent to being this truth, and they're correcting their errors, and they're focused on the work of the ministry and focused on serving the Lord. And it's like they're constantly checking their phone all the time, rushing through convos, giving this impression that they're so busy. You ask them to, could you assist with? Oh no, I'm busy. I'm so busy. I can't even deal with that. But brother, this is things that we got to do in the ministry. No, I'm busy. I'm busy. I got so much going on that I'm so busy that I ain't doing nothing but home scratching my boxes. It's a proud look. They feel they're above that. Get somebody else to do it. Me? I ain't really getting my time to go and do that. To do what? Captain, get somebody else. You can't get one of the other brothers to do it? I'm busy. That's a proud look. And because of that, God hates you. I got to say it plain like it is. God hates you if you have that mentality, if you have that spirit. Right? Always giving off this perpetually, they're in a hurry, I got to go do this, I got to go do that, I got to go. All they're in a hurry into to go do is to go do nothing. To go lay up and just go relax and to go do nothing. Brothers, as you go up the ranks, don't let that spirit fool you. Know what it is early. When you see it, it will come in. Brothers will have it. You got to know how to identify it. It doesn't come off like very arrogant or proud, brash, just very brash or very braggadocious. No. It's very elusive. It clones itself as I'm very diligent in the ministry. I'm always home studying. I'm always home putting my house in order. They would even give you excuses like this. So, brother, why you can't go into? Well, I got some, family function where I got to go and teach my family the commandments, and I got to go to the. Don't listen to that. It's all BS. It's BS. It's the spirit of pride. They feel whatever they're tasked with in the ministry, they're above that. Get somebody else, not me. Cha. It happens, but it rolls undetected. You don't realize that, oh wait, that brother got a spirit of pride. Because at surface, you want to believe him, right? You want to believe him. You want to believe The brother really like, he home going through all the scripts. But guess what? This truth is a what? A balance. You can't be just all you're doing is studying and you ain't serving in the ministry. Right? It's a balance. But then when you ask the brother, this is how you know that brother just full of it. You ask the brother, hey, break down this for me. I ain't really got the time. I ain't Pew, gotta go this way. There's something over here I gotta go do. He gone. Busy doing nada. Busy doing nothing. You're gonna come across those type of brothers. Too busy, right? And mind you, they got the opposite inverse to that too, eh? All right, good. Gotta identify it. What verse we at? That was verse 17, a proud look, a proud look. Verse 19, go ahead. Oh, you finished 19. Okay, good. Let's jump over to James chapter 4, verse 5. Again, James chapter 4 and verse 5. All praises. James 4 and verse 5.
Reading from the book of James chapter 4 and verse 5. Do you think that the scripture said in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusted to envy?
Read on.
Verse 6. But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he said, God resisted the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble.
God resists the proud. What does that mean? He resists the proud. He resists the proud. He's going to resist anything that you attempt to do, anything that you set your hand to do. You're going to be resisted. If it feels like a force field is around you and you just can't break through, you are being resisted. You are being prevented. I hope everyone gets that. You might be thinking, oh, well, it's some other force stopping me. No, the Lord is stopping you. Read the last part again when it says, but he giveth more grace.
James 4 verse 7. Wherefore he said, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble.
Read on.
Verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from thee.
Read on.
Verse 8. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your heart, you double-minded.
So you're double-minded in this truth is because you also have a spirit of pride on you as well. You say you're going to do one thing and you don't do it, it's because you got a spirit of pride on you. Right? It's like your mind split between two things. You got a spirit of pride on you, right? But it says to draw near to God and he will draw near to you. You got to cleanse your hands. You got to stop being double-minded. You got to stamp out that spirit of pride. You got to understand what the spirit of pride is when you see that thing in yourself. Don't always try to look for it in somebody else. Start with who first? Start with yourself. Understand. Now that we're breaking it down for you in this class, you're going to be able to see, Israel, that this spirit of pride is dwelling on most, if not everybody inside TOC. And it must be stamped out. It must be rooted out. If we're going to progress as a ministry, you got to stamp it out. So it says, cleanse your hands, ye sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. So stop being double-minded, right? Keep your vow. Honor your oath, right? When you don't honor the things that you said you would honor, is because you have a spirit of pride as well. It shows up in that way as well. Just like being very double-minded, that comes from a spirit of pride. Saying, well, I'll do it when I want to do it. Listen, the Lord don't have no control over when I do it. I'm going to do it when I want to do it. And the Lord will understand. So wait, God is here to answer to you, or are you here to answer to God? I'll do it whenever I feel like. If the man of the Lord tell you to do something, you do it. That's coming from the Lord. Well, who you think you are? You just blood and bones like me. Spirit of pride. You're just a human just like me. Spirit of pride. You're not Christ. Spirit of pride. Only Christ could tell me what to do. Spirit of pride. We see some sisters saying that to their husbands. Talking about you not Yahweh Shai the Christ. The scriptures say your husband is Lord in that house. Submit to him like as unto the Lord. He not Christ. And they double down, right? You not Jesus. You not Jesus. You not Jesus. You not Jesus. I ain't going to listen to you. Or brothers, when they're dealing with the leadership, you ain't Christ. I ain't got to listen to you. Ain't Christ. That's somebody who don't understand the truth. They don't understand the scriptures. They're double-minded. They got a spirit of pride on them. All right? Verse 9.
Verse 9. Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness.
So one thing you got to do is realize the sinful state that you're in, that you have not been genuine before the Lord. You have had a spirit of pride on you. The first step to getting that off of you, be afflicted. Afflict yourself. Mourn. Why? Because you realize you have not been before the Lord what you should be. Let your laughter turn to mourning. I've seen brothers get corrected right after the case file and go outside and start laughing. That spirit of pride is just like insane. That level of pride is insane to me. It says, let your laughter turn to mourning. There's a time for everything. Every time ain't it time for laughter, joking, and just, getting on with jokes. And no. That pride will always try to turn what's supposed to be a conversation that is solemn, a quiet, introspective, examinative conversation into jokes, into laughter, into... The moment that spirit of pride feels like, okay, I'm going to get cornered, bust a joke. That is a spirit of pride as well. Let me make the room a little lighter. Let me just bust a little joke. Because the spirit of pride, when it feels like it's going to be cornered or called out from in the shadows, and someone points it out from being elusive and being like cloning itself as something else, it's going to come out in that form where, smiling and laughter. Let's crack some humorous jokes. That's what happens. Try it, you see. If you suspect somebody got a spirit of pride on them, have a serious conversation with them and watch how they try to, in the moment, try to sway the conversation into something that's of laughter or humor. Just give it like 3 minutes. 3 minutes and you're going to see what's happening. They're going to turn it into a smiling moment. I know y'all know what I'm talking about because some of y'all do it. Some of y'all do it. Right? Because of that spirit of pride. It's so heavy. Doesn't want to be called out. Feels like it's going to be cornered, called out, identified, stamped out. It has to. It's a self-preservation mechanism. So that spirit of pride stays. It says, and your joy to heaviness. So some people don't know how to sit in heaviness, how to sit in mourning, how to sit in just weeping and being afflicted. They don't like those moments. That's why they don't like the fast. They don't like when, it's a heavy feeling on them. They just want to be able to just eat, be merry, drink, be merry, have fun, be merry, laugh, be merry, jokes, be merry. So every time it's just jokes and laughing. It can't be that, Israel. It can't be. That's because that spirit of pride is preventing the environment from being what it should be. A humbling moment. Okay? Verse 10.
James 4, verse 10.
And we're showing you how to get the spirit of pride off of you. Watch this, read.
Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord.
It says to do what?
Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord.
Put the jokes away, put the laughter away, put the light moments away, put the humor away when it's supposed to be heaviness and mourning and affliction. Some, persons who, they've been going through certain things. You're having this conversation with them. I don't know how the conversation turns this way into laughing and then, jokes and humor. But through the scriptures, we see why. He says to humble yourselves. This is how you get that spirit of pride off of you. Go ahead. So humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord,
and he shall lift you up.
He's going to lift you up, because a lot of times you think if you humble yourself and you abase yourself and you put yourself down here, that you're going to stay down here. That's why most persons don't want to humble themselves, because they figure, I have to stay down here. But it says the Lord, he's going to be the one that lifts you up. He's going to lift you up. So don't worry if you got to stay down here for a moment and be in the ashes and be in mourning and be afflicted. He's going to lift you up. Just humble yourself. Humble it. All right? Read verse 11.
Verse 11. Speak not evil one of another. Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother and judgeth his brother, speaketh evil of the law, and judgeth the law. But if thou judge the law, thou art not a doer of the law, but a judge.
This is some people for you. They speak badly of others because it makes them feel better about themselves. Because they feel inwardly, they feel they're above this person. They feel more extolled over this person. They feel they're on a different level to this person. So what they do, in their words, you hear it coming out. They speak very lowly of persons, judging their person's conditions, judging this person's situation. You're not here to judge persons' situations as in speak about their situations to make you feel better about yourself. You're here to help their situation as a servant of the Most High God. So first you got to fix yourself, then you could help fix others. You get the point. But it says, if you're a judge, right, and you're judging the law, right, you're not a doer of the law, but a judge. And we only got one judge in the end. That's going to be Yahweh Shai the Christ. That ain't your job. You understand that? So, look out for that in the congregation when there are persons who all they do is speak evil of another or suspecting evil of another. Is a spirit of pride. Mind you, the person hasn't done anything. And mind you, by the law, if someone does something, you got to prove it with witnesses, right? Good. 2 or 3, right? If you suspect someone did something in the congregation, then you approach them directly. Let them know if you saw it yourself or if it was heard by you or by another. You approach them with it. But if you're suspecting someone is evil, don't do this. Don't go asking them roundabout questions, doting about questions like, so tell me, so you say, where were you last night? Okay, well, you asking me this question. Well, I just want to know where you was. Just in this truth, be very straight up, be very straightforward. Brother, I didn't see it for myself. I heard you were by the whorehouse last night. If that is so, understand that the Lord, He's going to judge you. You got to repent for that, and you got to report it up the chain, otherwise I will. Simple. Don't dote about questions. So, brother, like, right? And now, when you dote about questions, you go to other brothers. So, guess what? That brother wicked. Because, mind you, all this time you ain't went to the brother, you know. That's you being wicked. You're not handling that as a man of the Lord. If you suspect that somebody is doing something, you confront them straight up and speak to them. Don't dote about questions. Be very straight up. Because now you're having evil suspicion. And the Bible says don't have no evil suspicion about your brother. Because now, and when I say your brother, I'm talking about those who in the truth. Because those who not in the truth, they're going to be doing evil. So you can't have evil suspicions about them. They're doing evil. It's nothing to suspect. They're doing evil. But in the truth, if you suspect someone is doing something and they're not being forthcoming with it, bring it to them, but bring evidence with it. Don't be like, well, you know, no one told me this. I just have a feeling that you're doing it. That doesn't hold up in Israel. I just have a feeling that because of my insecurities, I have a feeling that you might be doing something. That doesn't hold up in Israel. That's you having evil suspicion about your brother. Don't do that. The scriptures speak against that. And some of y'all got evil suspicion about each other. Some of y'all got evil suspicions about leadership. Some of y'all got evil suspicions about, and you don't realize the Lord is against you because of that. If you suspect something, bring it up. If it's just your own insecurities, then you understand it's just your own feelings. You get the point. But guess not. If you suspect someone is doing something, who's going to sort them out? If you suspect someone is doing something, who is going to sort them out? The Lord. You're walking around thinking, I think this brother wicked, that brother wicked, this brother wicked, that brother. I can't prove it, but I just think they are. You're going off. All right? And the Lord is against you if you're doing that. So, everyone, understand that. That's not the culture that we want to have in TOC. Do not just assume wickedness about someone unless they give you a reason. You see this thing for yourself. All right? Good. Where we at? Give me Daniel chapter 4 and verse 30. Now we're going to show you perfect example of this type of pride. Daniel chapter 4 verse 30.
Reading from the book of Daniel, chapter 4, verse 30.
Come on.
The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power?
So now he's gloating, right? King Nebuchadnezzar, he's gloating over the fact that he is ruling over great Babylon. Read on.
And for the honor of my majesty, verse 31, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee.
In that very moment, the Lord removed the kingdom from him because of his gloating, his arrogance, and his pride. Read on.
Verse 32.
Now, mind you, we're showing you like the most extreme form of arrogance and pride, right? Read on.
And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as an oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whosoever he will.
Until he know, until he come to the realization that the Most High, he rules in the kingdom of men, and he gives the kingdom to whomsoever he will. That's how low he would have brought Nebuchadnezzar till he come to that realization. Read on.
Verse 33. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird claws.
So he got so low, right? So destitute, that it says, till his hairs were grown like eagles, like feathers, and his nails like bird claws. That's the lowest of the low, right? You're in such a low position. Like you're fall from grace. Like you were the king. Now you're eating dirt. Read on.
Verse 34. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me.
He says, my understanding, it came back to me. Read on.
And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation.
Read on.
Verse 35. And all the habitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven. and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, what doest thou?
So Nebuchadnezzar, he came to the understanding, right, that the Most High, he rules over the kingdoms of men, and the Most High is the one that gives position. He gives rulership. Read on.
Verse 36. At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselors and my Lord sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me.
Read on.
Verse 37. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and honor the King of heaven, on all King of heaven, all whose work are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.
Those that walk in pride, he's able to abase. This is what you got to understand about the Most High God. If he could raise you up, he could bring you down. If he could make you a king, he could bring you to eat dirt. Understand, it is very important that you understand this fundamental early. The Most High plays no games when it comes to humbling someone. And when you're full of pride, and when you have arrogance on the level that King Nebuchadnezzar had pride and arrogance, he will actually, the greater your pride, will be the greater your fall. The more dirt you will eat based on the level of pride that you have. And King Nebuchadnezzar experienced it to the point where while he was going through what he was going through, he realized, wait, the Lord is who did this to me. So then he put away his pridefulness. So guess what? In your situation, you're going to have to put away your pride, put away, whatever's been holding you back with regard to that spirit of pride. You're going to have to put it away. And realize your way has not been working at all. And realize so far to this point, what you've done has not gotten you to where you need to be. So you're going to need to try something different, which is to put away your pride. You understand that? 2 Chronicles chapter 26 and verse 3. 2 Chronicles chapter 26 and verse 3. All right? 2 Chronicles chapter 26 verse 3.
Reading from the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 26 and verse 3. 16 years old was Uzziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem.
So we're going into King Uzziah and how he started to reign when he was 16 years old. All right? And he reigned for 52 years in Jerusalem. Read on.
His mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. Verse 4. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah did.
So he did all that his father taught him. He did all the laws and the commandments that was passed on to him by his dad Amaziah. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord. Verse 16.
Verse 16. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction, for he transgressed against the Lord his God, and went into the temple of the Lord to burn incense upon the altar of incense.
Now look at this. The first example we had with King Nebuchadnezzar, and very extreme form of pride. But now look at King Uzziah. He went into the temple. Now the verse started out by saying, when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction. His heart was against the Lord by doing something that the Lord did not command. Now watch this. He says, he went into the temple of the Lord upon the altar and he burned incense. Verse 17. Now you might ask yourself, wait, burning incense is against the law? Is it against the law? I mean, Not in theory, but who's supposed to burn incense in the temple? Let's find out. Watch this.
Verse 17. And Azariah the priest went in after him, and with him 80 priests of the Lord that were valiant men.
Okay, priests of the Lord went in after him, and the valiant men. Read on.
Verse 18. And they withstood Uzziah the king, and said unto him, It appertaineth not unto thee, Uzziah, to burn incense unto the Lord.
It says it doesn't pertain to you, King Uzziah. Now mind you, Uzziah was the king. The king should be able to, in his mind, do whatever he wants to do because he's the king. But they told him, according to law, it doesn't pertain to you to go in there and burn incense in the temple. Read on.
But to the priests, the sons of Aaron, that are consecrated to burn incense, go out of the sanctuary.
So they told him, get out of the sanctuary, because only the priests who are the sons of Aaron, who are consecrated, who are set apart, who are chosen and delegated and designated to burn incense in the temple, only they can burn incense in there. So even though, yes, you're the king, you got to get out of here now. Come on.
Go out of the sanctuary, for thou hast trespassed, neither shall it be for thine honor from the Lord God.
It's not going to be for your honor going to be removed from you should you do something like this. Your honor shall be taken away and diminished from you. Soldier? Soldier? Just turn that up just a little bit. Turn it up just a little bit. Your honor is going to be removed from you. You will be left without honor. Okay? Good. So let's get verse 19 now. Come on.
Verse 19.
Come on.
Then Uzziah was wroth, and had a censer in his hand to burn the incense. And while he was wroth with the priest, the leprosy even rose up in his forehead before the priest in the house of the Lord, from beside the incense altar.
So Uzziah got so mad. He got so distraught. He had one of the censers in his hand to burn incense. And while he was so angry with the priest, in that moment, leprosy rose up on his forehead. In that instant, right before the priests, right? And he was right there by the incense altar when that leprosy took hold of him. Read on, verse 20.
Verse 20. And Azariah the chief priest and all the priests looked upon him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead, and they thrust him out from thence.
They threw him out.
Yea, himself had also gone out, because the Lord had smitten him.
The Lord has smitten him. Now you might say to yourself, well, all he did was burnt incense in the temple. He did something seemingly right now. A lot of you may have seemingly good intentions. A lot of you may have seemingly good wants and good needs, but guess what? It's coming from a spirit of pride. Now, guess what? It was only the consecrated Aaronites or the Levites that were designated and chosen to burn incense in the temple. King Uzziah, because of the pride that he had, figured, I'm the king, I can do this. Who's going to withstand me? Guess what? The men of the Lord withstood him, even though he was the king. So even being the king does not exempt you, does not excuse you from doing what is right in the Lord's eyes, even if it's something seemingly right. Now, you might say, he only burned incense. He only burned incense. Why should that be a crime? It is a crime. Only the Levites, only the priests can burn incense. And because of that, the Lord smite him. Verse 21.
Verse 21. And Uzziah the king was a leper unto the day of his death.
Unto the day of his death. You would think, right? that the Lord removed that leprosy from him? No. He says, unto the day of his death. Read on.
And dwelt in several houses, being a leper. For he was cut off from the house of the Lord.
He got cut off from the house of the Lord. Read on.
And Jotham his son was over the king's house, judging the people of the land.
So his son took his stead. His son reigned in his stead. And guess what? He didn't get remembered for being a great king that he was. What did he get remembered for? He got remembered for transgressing against the Lord and being smitten with leprosy. And guess what? Not even that people remember of him. He's not remembered in that sense. He's not. And because of the spirit of pride, it took him out of here. The spirit of pride is here to take you out the truth. The spirit of pride will take you out of the truth. It will remove you from the truth. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't think even in a very small way you can have the spirit of pride and still be in the truth. You're not in the truth. We just read that earlier. That the beginning of pride, a man has turned his heart away from God. So you're not in the truth. And that's why the Most High is going to take you out. He took out King Uzziah. You understand that? Breaking the law on that level. So those of you who think that God's going to give you a pass because you're great in Israel or you have some status in Israel, he takes out kings for their pride. And he's going to take you out too. Pride is here to take you out. Let's get Luke 12 and verse 16.
Reading from the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 16. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully.
So now Christ is breaking down a parable for them, for the disciples. Watch this.
Verse 17. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruit.
So in this parable, this rich man, right? He has lots of riches. He's a rich man, okay? And he brought a piece of land. He bought that thing, right? And he wants to store his goods. Now he says, what am I going to do? Because I don't have any room where I can store my fruits. All right, come on.
Verse 18. And he said, this will I do.
He said, this is what I'm going to do.
I will pull down my barns.
The barns that I have, I'm going to pull them down.
And build greater.
And build bigger ones.
And there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods.
And in the bigger ones, I'm going to bestow all my fruits and my goods. Read on.
Verse 19. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much good laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry.
It says, he said to himself, he even speaking to himself in third person, like, soul, you got a lot of goods laid up for many years. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Drink, eat, be merry. But look what happens in verse 20. Come on.
Verse 20. But God said unto him, thou fool.
Thou fool. Watch this. God is speaking to him in this parable.
This night thy soul shall be required of thee.
This night you're going to die. You're going to give up the ghost. Your soul is going to be required. I'm going to call back your soul tonight. Read on.
Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided?
Now who those things going to belong to? All those things that you have heaped up for yourself. Who are they now going to belong to? You don't even know I'm calling you home tonight. So when you try to make these projections, Israel, 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 listen to me very closely. Yes, you can plan for your future. Yes, you can put things in place. But when you have a spirit of pride, when you're doing so, thinking that these projections that you're making, I have enough, to be laid up for years. I'm good. I'm set for years. Right? I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry. I ain't got nothing to worry about, nothing to do. That level of pride sets in. Where our people make some crazy projections. And you're projecting about things that you don't even know if you're going to have to either give away, things that not going to be yours, things that ain't even yours. If you're projecting about even things that ain't even yours right now and you're already making projections for it, it's coming from a spirit of pride. Now in the world, most people make projections like, let's go on a simple level. You just about to start a job. You ain't get paid yet, but you're done already thinking about all the things you're going to buy when you get paid. All the things you're going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to help this person, help that person. I ain't get the money yet, but I'm going to do like Michael Jackson and heal the world, make it for me and my pride inside my heart. It's pride. The Most High told him, you fool, you're going to die and you're going to leave those things. Who are they going to belong to now? Spirit of pride. It dwells among our people. So much that pride has cloned itself, you don't realize it's pride. It's dwelling on everybody that I see in TOC. TOC, we're going to have to stomp this out, root this out, get this out, cast it out. You know why? Because you haven't been praying against it. You know why? You didn't think you have a spirit of pride. That's why when you've been fasting, you haven't been asking the Lord directly, Lord, please, in the name of Yahushua, remove this spirit of pride on me, because you don't think you have a spirit of pride. You're going to have to call that spirit out by name. All right? Call it out by name. Proverbs 29 and verse 1. Proverbs 29 verse 1.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 1. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed.
Ooh.
And that without remedy.
I got my files. He being often corrected. Now, I got a question. If somebody getting corrected often, corrected over and over and over and over and over about something, what does that mean? They have a spirit of pride. Otherwise, they wouldn't be getting corrected so often. I want to say corrected. I mean corrected about major things, because we don't correct you over every little thing here at TOC. Every little thing we're not going, but if it's major things that's a detriment to you and your family, we're going to correct you on that thing. Because we want to see you walking straight in this truth. But every little mistake that you made, we're not necessarily going to correct you in that moment. All right? Now it says, he being often corrected, is the reason for it is because he has a hard what? Read it again from the top.
He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck.
He has a hard neck. As I say in Guyana, you hard up. Right? You hard up. Shout out to Guyana, because they use that term very often. Oh, you hard up. Yeah, we got a lot of hard up people in TOC. That no matter, even if you're telling them that this is what it is, and you're showing them from the scripture, right? TOC would still be like, no, that ain't what it is. Right? That's not what it is. Getting corrected over and over means you have a spirit of pride. But watch what it says is going to happen. Read on.
Shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy.
You're going to suddenly be destroyed. So the Lord will destroy you because you have a hard neck. You're getting corrected over and over and over on the same thing. You ask about the same thing over and over. You've been given the answer over and over. You're still asking the same question about the same thing over and over and over. You've been corrected over and over. Or you're falling into the same mistake over and over and over. And you're being corrected about it. And you have your neck so hard, you don't want to turn to the left and yield. It says you're going to be destroyed without remedy. Now, watch this. Prime example. Somebody who have difficulty accepting correction. Now on the surface, it just looks like, well, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with the way you said it. Or you could have told me differently. Right? Here's the root issue, though. That ain't the root issue, you know. The root issue is this. Pride, it resists correction. Pride, it doesn't take correction well, right? It doesn't want to admit fault. It doesn't want to be humbled by someone else's input. So you see that? So being corrected over and over because the person's neck is hard. That's the problem. But it says you're going to be destroyed without remedy. Proverbs 29 and verse 23.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 23.
Watch this.
A man's pride shall bring him low.
No, a man's pride, you're going to see fruits in his life.
A man's pride shall bring him low.
A man's pride is going to bring him low. Read on.
But honor shall uphold the humble in spirit.
But honor, you're going to see fruits. That's what's going to uphold the humble. You're going to see fruits coming from them. Those who are truly humble. Now he says humble in what? Humble in what?
Spirit.
Humble in spirit. Because again, pride rolls undetected. Humble in spirit is different to external humbleness. External humbleness is like, well, you know, I'm not a boastful person. I'm a very humble person. That's external. Humble in spirit is when you're being corrected and you're not fighting against it in your mind. You're not combating it in your mind. You're not saying no, 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 and doubling down in your mind. No. You're humble in spirit when you can accept correction and not fight against it. Right? So now, I'm going to show you another way how pride has cloned itself and you wouldn't even see it. Right? Now, on the surface, you might have some people who, they get very, very offended when they don't get publicly acknowledged. It's like they want recognition for every little thing. They tell you, I don't feel what? Appreciated. I don't feel like recognized. I'm offended when I don't get publicly acknowledged or thanked, or, oh, you didn't choose me for this role. The root issue is this, though. Pride always demands what? Recognition. Pride struggles with humility. Let me tell you something. In this truth, 99.99 of what you do in this truth, when you're serving, you're not going to get no thanks for. Stop looking for recognition. Stop always looking for, hey, we appreciate you. Hey, you're not going to get it. You're doing it for the Lord. The mere fact that the Lord has you alive is your recognition. Well, I don't feel appreciated like you don't show me. That's pride. Your pride demands it. Your pride wants it. Your pride, it just lusts after that type of recognition. That's your flesh. I want to be recognized. It would just feel good just to hear it, though, Cap. Just to hear, I'm appreciated. All of us working. Listen, if you're going up the ranks, you're going up the ranks. When you get to captain, you think you ain't get any thanks? Are you going to get any thanks? What you going to get? You going to get the FUs and the who you think you are. You trying to correct me. I know more. Prepare yourself for that when the younger brothers come under you. Prepare yourself for all types of unscrupulous words flying out of brothers' mouths against you. But that's what you're here for. We're here for nothing else but that. That's what the Lord groomed us for. So if you're looking for a thanks, you're looking for acknowledgement, you're looking for some sort of, hey man, we're giving you recognition, don't look for it here. That means you're doing it for the wrong reason. You're doing it because your pride requires it. And because your pride requires it, you're going to fall out the truth when you don't get the recognition. You're going to fall out of really being a servant of the Lord when you don't get it. You see how many people fall out of the truth? Oh, I wasn't recognized. They didn't recognize me. It says a man's pride is going to bring him low. Let's get Isaiah chapter 2, verse 11. The book of Isaiah 2, verse 11.
Reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 11.
Come on.
The lofty looks of man shall be humbled.
So, a future prophecy for all those who will not ease up off of their pridefulness. It says, the lofty looks of man shall be humbled. Come on.
And the haughtiness of man shall be bowed down. And the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day.
The Lord alone is going to be exalted in that day. Here's another example of lofty looks. Lofty looks. A person thinking, I don't really have much faults. I don't really have much things I need to work on. Just maybe one or two. Now on the surface, if you believe that generally you're fine, and you ain't got nothing major to really work on, and you're always comparing to others like, well, compared to that brother, you know, I ain't got that much to work on. Oh, that brother there, trust me, he got issues. I ain't got to, you know, really worry too much because that brother, you're comparing, you're contrasting, thinking that you don't really have much faults. The real root issue behind that is pride actually blinds you from self-examination. Pride blinds you. It's a blindfold. Remind you, it's a blindfold over your eyes. It prevents you from growth because you're comparing yourself to everybody. Well, I ain't got much things I got to work on. Like, not like that brother. Not like that sister. That sister there, she got problems. Oh, that brother there? No, he got a lot going on. I ain't really got much to... Pride. Stamp it out, Israel. Stamp it out. Focus on the root issue. Self-examination. All right? Let's read verse 12.
Verse 12. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low.
Oh, he's going to be brought low. All right? That's what's coming to all those who don't put away their pride. Now, here's another where pride clones itself that you may not have suspected. Pay attention, because you're going to have to identify these when brothers and sisters come into the congregation as well as in yourself. You may have this on you. Your wives may have this on you. You got to know how to identify it. Now, selective submission. Ooh. Who ever seen this? Selective submission, willingly only submitting or wanting to take advice from people that you like. Ooh. That's a spirit of pride. Now, those who in larger schools, you know about this. You got many teachers, and people try to go around the thing, right? They only want to submit to leaders that they like. But they resist it now. When it's somebody's style or flavor that you dislike. Oh, I don't like this officer here because he bringing out judgment too much. I don't like that. I want this calm one over here because he don't really correct me when I wrong. He kind of gives into what I like to hear more. So I prefer their style. The root issue is really pride is trying to decide who is worthy to submit to, who is worthy to be obedient to when it comes to the scriptures. But that is called what? Respecter of what? Persons. And at the root of respect of persons is pride, Israel. You got to stamp out that. Oh, I don't like how this person, their style or whatever they teach. So I'm going to go around that and I'm going to prefer. Mind you, and you in that congregation, you're doing wrong, Israel, you're doing wrong. If you got a school, you got many teachers, right? Allow yourself to learn and be corrected by all of your teachers. If you got one teacher in your school, that's what the Most High gave you at the moment, rock with that. No, I want another teacher. I don't want that one. I prefer to watch this or watch that or watch this. Like the classes that we got at TOC, I don't like it. I like this over here, but here's the question. If you like this over here more, how come you're not growing? How come you're not flourishing? With everything that you do watch, shouldn't we see some fruit of it in your life? Shows you it's just pride. That's all it is. It's just pride. All right? It's just pride. Proverbs 15 and verse 25. Yeah, Cap, we like to watch this over here more because, it's more teachers over here. Well, how come you ain't growing? With all that you watching, how come you not growing? Proverbs 15 and verse 25.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 25. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow.
He will establish the border of the widow, those who are brought low. But now he says, he will destroy the house of the proud. Your house will be destroyed if there's anyone that's operating with a spirit of pride on them in that house. He's going to rip it apart. He's going to rip it to shreds. He's going to dismantle it. He's going to tear it apart. You want to see the destruction of a house? Just allow the spirit of pride to thrive in there. If you've seen a house destroyed, it's also because a spirit of pride has dismantled that thing. The Lord dismantled it. So when you see a house that is divided asunder, at the root of it, pride is there. All right? Proverbs 12, verse 1. While we get in that scripture, right? Here's another spirit of pride that comes very unsuspectingly, right? You compare yourself. We spoke about it earlier. Oh, at least I ain't doing what they're doing. That spirit of pride. Oh, look what they're doing. I ain't doing that. Right? Pride always uses others' flaws. Again, pride always uses others' flaws as a measuring stick instead of looking inwards. Even when scriptures coming out, there's people who, when scriptures come out, all they do is think about how it applies to somebody else. When I read scriptures, I want to know how this scripture can cut me. I'm looking to get cut. And if you don't read the scriptures in the same way, and you're always thinking about, oh, I could think a million ways who this could apply to. This could apply to that person. This could apply to that person. Or what about that sister or that brother? You call out all these people in your mind who this could apply to, and the one person that you ain't call was yourself. Oh no, that don't apply to me. I don't do what they do. But you can find a way it can apply to you. Israel, if you look deep enough, every scripture can apply to you. Israel, if I ever hear the words come out of your mouth, well, I ain't really dealing with that, or I don't really do that, you're lying to yourself. All right? Here's another one. Unwillingness to apologize first. There's some people, for the life of them, they would die. They would go on their last breath not being the person who apologized first. I don't understand it. I really have a hard time fathoming it, right? They're always waiting for the other person to either make the first move, apologize first. Pride always values being right, over reconciliation. Pride don't care about reconciliation. Pride just, I was right, you was wrong. I was right, you was wrong. You hurt me, you hurt me. You did this to me, you the cause of this. And they would just wait and play the waiting game. No, they got to come and apologize to me first. They got to apologize to me first. I'm not budging, I'm not moving till they apologize to me. That is pride. Stomp it out. Christ said, the peacemakers, they shall be blessed. Blessed are the peacemakers, those who reconcile. All right? Good. Proverbs 12, verse 1.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 12 and verse 1. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish.
He that hateth correction is brutish. You're like a beast. You're like a wild animal. But he that loveth instruction, you love knowledge. All right? So, Israel, stomp out that spirit where you're rejecting knowledge. Right? Because you think you are wiser than your teachers. Stop having that spirit in TOC. Stomp it out. We see that more so with Brothers, yes, but sisters have it too. When their husband's correcting them and they don't want to submit because they figure, oh, I don't have to listen to you because you're just a man and I'm just a woman and we just blood and bones and I don't have to submit to you. Right? It is wrong. Proverbs 15 and verse 32, while we're getting that, here's another unsuspecting way that pride shows up. Now, people who have self-reliance to a fault, right? Meaning, they don't want no help from in the congregation of the Lord. I don't need no help. I'm going to handle it myself. Now, pride refuses to acknowledge any dependence upon God or the children of God. I don't want no help from y'all. That's pride. Well, y'all gonna help me? How come nobody help? The Bible says, knock and it shall be answered unto you. Ask and it shall be given to you. Well, y'all was supposed to know. No, that's pride. Listen, how is your fellow brother or fellow sister supposed to know what you are in need of if you never mention it? Are they psychic? And even if they're psychic, they got to be put to death because the Lord said, ain't no witchcraft in Israel. Are they using the Urim and the Thummim that the Levites use to figure out spiritual things? They're not using that. So they're not going to know your situation. Don't let the spirit of pride prevent you from opening up to someone and asking for help. If you need help, Israel, ask. Then we could, Ecclesiasticus 12, apply that and see if the person in the congregation long enough, if they're still sinning, what's going on, because you don't want to be judged double for their sin. You got to assess it. But you still got to, I don't want nobody judging me. Usually that's why people don't ask, there's a play, Ecclesiasticus 12, when it says, know who I give to. I don't want them thinking that because they're going through this, they're going to sin. You're being prideful still. If you need help, ask for it. It still has to be assessed. But don't let your pride prevent you. All right? Don't refuse instruction. Because a lot of times when you're going through it, you're getting instruction. I don't want to do that. I prefer to stay in my situation and ask somebody in the world. Don't do that. All right? What verse we at? Proverbs 15 and verse 33. Go ahead.
He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding.
Read on.
Verse 33. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility.
The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom. In other words, is the application of wisdom. When you apply the instructions over your life, then you could get honor. That's what comes before honor. But first, you got to apply it. You can't get the honor if you don't apply the instruction. Because wanting the honor before you apply the instruction is a spirit of pride. You want the benefits to be reaped before the instruction is applied. That doesn't work with the Lord. It says what comes before the honor is the application of the wisdom, is the instruction of the wisdom. All right? Before honor, and guess what comes before honor? You just humble yourself. Humility comes before honor. All right? Now, really quickly, I want to go into, got my files here, Just pull up 1 John 2 and 16 in the meantime. Now, really quickly, I'm going to run through this really quickly. All right? So now, different scenarios where pride shows up itself. I want y'all to take note of these. You got scenarios where, let's say a young man in the camp, in the organization says to leadership, hey, Cap, I want to grow. If you ever see any blind spots in my life or something that I need to work on, please just show me. Just tell me. I want to be held accountable. And then now, weeks later, when the captain pulled you aside and said, brother, I noticed that, when it comes to constructive feedback, you don't accept it well. When someone disagrees with you, you interrupt them, you get defensive, you have a proud reaction. It's pride, right? Instead of receiving the correction, the young man gets defensive immediately. I said, nah, Cap, you got it wrong, you got it wrong, you got it wrong. I'm not defensive, I'm just passionate. I'm not defensive, I'm just zealous. All right? I'm just zealous about the truth. I was only trying to make sure people, they get the right idea about me. All right? I was just correcting them in love. Then he's going to proceed to spend the next 15 minutes justifying his behavior. That is pride. Absolutely 100%. All right? Now, again, I mentioned it earlier. You come into this truth, your job is to not come and teach your teachers. That's not what we're doing here. We're learning. Everyone is just learning from each other. That's not what we're doing here. You couldn't go into the synagogues. That the only man that could have did that was who? Yahweh, because they were astonished at his doctrine. You there to learn from the elders. You're not coming into the synagogue like, yes, everyone sit down and everyone is going to listen to me and the learned men who's been learning here for the past 50 years in this thing, I'm going to teach you a thing or two. They would look at each other and say, who is this? Remove him immediately. As a matter of fact, get him put to death. We on the Sabbath, right? Okay, after the Sabbath, get him put to death. You come in here with your insurrection, trying to usurp over them. Do you know that is actually wrong in the scriptures, trying to usurp yourself over the man of God? It's wrong, and so many people do it. But the problem is they don't see you as the man of God. They don't see that. They just think, we're brothers, we're happy, and we're singing, and we're colored. That's what they think. Like, we just bros. We just bros. We're here to learn from each other. That's not what we're doing. You're here to learn and to apply and to change. As you grow, the things that you learn, people under you, they're here to learn now from you as you've been taught. You're still here to learn, yes, in that position. You learn more higher things, more leadership things. So you're here to learn, but then when you get to that level, you'll be teaching. So persons who come in, they're here to learn from you. But you got to put yourself in that position where you're here to learn, then you can pass on the knowledge. You understand that? And then when you ascend up the ranks, then when you're equal with your leadership, right? Then y'all can learn from each other because you've now went through that learning period where the Most High dealing with you on a different level now. Everyone gets it. 1 John 2 and 16. Go ahead. 1 John chapter 2, verse 16.
Reading from the book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father.
The pride of what?
And the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world.
The pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. Who knows what the pride of life is? The things of the world. Right? The worldly things. That stifles your vision in the truth. You're overly concerned, let's put it this way, the cares of the world. You've heard that saying in the Bible before, the cares of the world. It comes from pride as well. You're trying to make sure that the cares of the world, they're met. You meet those concerns that you have, and you put the Most High on the back burner. You think what you got going on, your cares of the world, is above what the Lord is calling you to do. You got it the other way around, because people be like, no, I'll deal with the cares of the world first, get myself straight first, then I'll give the Lord my time. The Lord said, take up your cross and follow him. You get the point. So now, for many persons, when it comes to the pride of life, the cares of the world, I see it in TOC. I see many persons who they put things over the Most High God, and they don't even know it. They don't even realize it. But the cares of the world is more important to them than the things of the Lord, the things of the Father. And that is wrong. Now, really quickly, I'm going to give you another scenario really quickly. All right. Let us go to this example right here. All right. The know-it-all brother, right? So a brother is being mentored. He's getting, counsel from leadership. And he says, I really respect your wisdom. I really appreciate it. I really am honored to be getting counseled by you. So because of that, anytime I'm wrong, just let me know when I'm wrong. Now, seemingly, that seems like this brother is very humble. This brother is very just like, yo, this is the kind of brother you want in the congregation. He's saying, hey, tell me when I'm wrong so I could correct it. Show me when I'm off. Challenge me when I'm wrong, right? So now, the leadership, they're in that role for many years, right? They got years in this truth. They're seasoned, right? And they advises the brother to be cautious about a particular thing. Or let's say it's information you're getting from certain sources. Telling you, be careful. Sources, they're not verified, right? A lot of untrusted opinions out there. Stick to the scriptures. And then the proud reaction comes, right? The person that's being mentored, they argue back, they fight back. They're like, no, you're wrong. The Holy Spirit ain't just speaking to you. The Holy Spirit is speaking to me too. Right? And the Holy Spirit can speak to anybody, even on social media. So you're wrong. The things I'm coming across on social media, they're right. You're wrong. And it's like, shh. You wondering to yourself, man, this person just came into the truth. Right? That's pride. That proud look, that's pride. They're thinking to themselves, your information is outdated. The things I'm coming across is more cutting edge. It's more updated. It's more up to the time. You don't have no relevant information today. So now they start in their mind just rejecting the correction, rejecting the counsel, rejecting. And now they turned into, they're no counseling you. They're no correcting you. They're no, I am the teacher now. I am the teacher now. Pride is behind that. I want everybody to understand that, right? Give me Proverbs 8 and verse 13. Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 13.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse 13.
Come on.
The fear of the Lord is to hate evil.
Ooh. Go ahead.
Pride and arrogance and the evil way and the forward mouth do I hate.
The Most High said he hate that thing. The arrogance, the forward mouth. Let me show you how an unsuspecting way you could get a forward mouth and arrogance. Now, the I'm not impressed stance that a lot of people love to take. Right? Whatever's going on here, I'm not impressed. This is beneath me. This is not my level to the level that I like it, or even if the Lord might be, they might be speaking a couple of scriptures, the Lord might be using them in certain ways. I'm above this. I'm not impressed facade. The person appears very calm, mind you, very collected, very unfazed by what's going on around them, right? But then you hear in certain conversations coming out, right? Even when other people are excited about what's happening in the ministry, where we're going, where we're headed, they're just like, I'm not impressed. I'm bored. I've hit the ceiling, the top of where I think this is going. I feel like I hit a plateau. I feel like I've hit the plateau. It's a proud look, all right? It's a very proud look. You could see it by the lack of engagement. They always got that slight smirk when accomplishments are shared. They're like, I'm not impressed. You might find that, like, even with a brother or sister, you share a small accomplishment with them. They're just like, I ain't really impressed by that. Mind you, it's a big accomplishment for you, but to them, they're like, not impressed. They have a spirit of pride that's on them. You understand that? So it's a look that diminishes the joy and the success of others. It silently asserts their own superiority without even saying a single word. They ain't got to say nothing. So pride don't always show up as, big, bad, and boastful. Sometimes it's very quiet. It's very dismissive. Very just, very subtle. All right? But it's there to dwarf the achievements of everything that's around it. All right? Good. So Proverbs 8 and 13, read that again for me.
Proverbs 8 verse 13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Pride and arrogance and the evil way and the forward mouth do I hate.
The forward mouth. What about when some people have a silent judgment look? Right? The person's face just look blank. Right? But always look in somebody's eyes. Look in their eyes. The eyes, you could see in the critical thoughts. Right? They say the eyes are the windows to the what? To the soul. You can always see. Right? They're trying to observe inwardly, every flaw, every mistake. Mind you, they're going to keep their mouth shut, Every flaw, every mistake, they're silently judging every single thing. Every weakness around them, they try to use it as feeling better about themselves. It's a proud look. All right? They're mentally judging. Right? So you got to be mindful of that, Israel. All right? What about someone who appears to be a very good listener? And they got that, that polite smile and nod. But really and truly hidden behind the eyes, right? It's not, the actions don't match the smile. All right? They might say something like, oh, how cute, oh, you poor thing, or, they're really just silently just judging you. Right? It's a form of false humility. You understand that? So the outward appearance, it looks like one of kindness. It looks like one of they're entreating you, right? It looks like the inward heart really wants to welcome you, but it's one of condescension. They're condescending you. They're thinking they're up here and you're down. You see it all the time for those who in the spirit. All right? And I'll give you one last one before we close off. Now, you may see this one. A person seems very sensitive or easily wounded. Now, when they're given when they're given things to constructively build themselves up, what they do is inwardly, they're thinking to themselves, oh, that ain't gonna work. I can't do that. They're already being negative about it. Right? When they get constructive criticism, they have a different opinion about, mind you, even though you're coming out the scriptures, that pride is a very sneaky mask. Right? They could actually flip it on you and tell you, I feel hurt because you're giving me constructive criticism. I feel hurt. It's a way so pride could really just divert. I feel hurt, so pride gonna allow the conversation to take a turn, so you don't really get down to the roots of it. All right? So, Israel, we're gonna end it there today. Take into consideration these things that we went over today. We must and we will stamp out the spirit of pride from among our congregation. It must happen, it will happen, and it has to happen. You understand? Because it's raining heavy in TOC. It ain't just raining outside, it's raining heavy. The spirit of pride, it rains heavy in TOC. And we got to get it out. We must. So in your after class builds, address the elephant in the room. You understand that? Because we must get that spirit out of here. So we're going to end it there today, Israel. We want to thank you for joining us today on today's class. Pride kills. If you don't stamp out the spirit of pride, it will bring your destruction. It will bring your demise. So I pray that each and every one of you do some self-examination, do some self-introspectiveness, look within your spirit, look within yourselves, and see how the scriptures can apply to you. Don't think about nobody else and how it applies to everybody else. Think about how it applies to you. All right, we want to see a different culture in TOC. Last week we had no secret sin, right? Or the consequences of secret sin. We want, while we're stamping out secret sin, we also want the spirit of pride to be eliminated from among us. All praises. So with that, Israel, we're going to close out. Remember to give your alms, your donations, and your offerings in the description below. For those of you who have Mo Banking or PayPal, the information is there for you to give unto the Lord as He has commanded you to give. All praises. So with that, we're going to close out, suspecting that we don't have any questions online. All praises. So with that, we're going to close out. Israel, we love you. Stay in the spirit. All praises to the Most High. Shalom.